Hello there, I'm Matt Mitchum. I'm the designer of Brunelleschi, Age of Architects.
I'm Margaret Staples. I am the engine developer, and I don't stand up very much because I got a bad spine, so I'm going to go out.
Bye, Margaret. We're going to be talking to you a little bit about our free-to-play game, Brunelleschi. It's available at brunegame.com, and it's 100% free. Rebecca has designed an interactive Unity client for Brunelleschi, which allows you to visualize your settlement and should be fully operational as an MMORPG over the course of the next year or so. And we're going to listen to her talk about some of her planned features and some of the interesting things that she's put into the game for us while I walk through the client. So, Rebecca.
Hey, I'm actually really pleased to be talking about the Unity client. I started working on it when I first opened up Unity about 7 months ago. So if some of the things look a little bit blocky, it's probably because they are old assets that I built when I was still building houses out of cubes with textures on them. You know, like black and black and black and black, put a door, slap a roof on it, it's a building!
The next logical step from Minecraft.
Exactly. It was actually Unity was a great step for Minecraft. It wasn't actually very far since
No.
from the gap when we stopped playing Minecraft and we started making
Modded Minecraft right over to Unity. That's a logical progression.
Oh, absolutely it is. I encourage others to try it.
Mhm.
Here we've got the menu that Matt actually put the script together for me when I was first learning the script, and I really appreciated the support. We go from here. One of the best things we've got in the Unity client is the ability to visualize the settlement you build in the web game. Most of the game is the engine is run by Margaret, our developer. You just saw leave, and she's done a lot of great work. You're seeing visualized here in the login. This is a straight up web view using coherent UI. You can log straight into your character. Matt is going to simulate one of our higher ranking characters so that we can see their very fancy settlement.
This is Ankh Morpork, named of course for Terry Pratchett's beloved capital of Discworld, I guess you could call it.
All roads lead away from Ankh Morpork.
But Kamal has done an amazing job. He's built a beautiful settlement, and it's really, it's very expansive. He's one of the top players of the game and has done quite well in management and diplomacy.
Absolutely. I've seen some of the role-playing that goes on in the forums between this player and several of the other high-end or simply dedicated players working between their different settlements, deciding who's friends with who, who's ministering for who else. It's amazing to see them work together and actually build these settlements and civilizations we hope to see thousands of players supporting.
Someday, certainly. Here he's got just an amazing collection of districts. We've only got the first 20 districts available in the web game modeled fully into the Unity client. Rebecca does all of the art herself as well as all of the scripting. It's really amazing. I would say 99% of the three-dimensional work you're seeing and 80-ish% of the user interface work you're seeing is her work, with all of this stuff here in the web view being Margaret's work.
Absolutely.
I just designed this stuff.
We couldn't do it without him. He was amazing for tech support. But Margaret and I do work together a lot in order to make the script between the web game and the Unity client show up. The numbers you see there on the building text are the number of the lot. So if players wanted to arrange how it looked in the Unity client, they could actually rearrange their buildings in order so that they group in the map the way they want them to, and that's why I provide the lot number. One of the great things you can see as you run up to any one of the buildings that's available right now is this wonderful little web sign. The web sign immediately calls up the reference to that specific building. You can see this one is a level 11 latifundia. That means that it's been upgraded 10 times. Yeah.
Oh yes, it's at this point it's gonna take 220,000 produce to get another level up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this game, you get a lot of production demand, but you also get a lot of benefit from it. Here's a farm where you can change what you're producing. As you can see, the boxes there with the flax, grain, hemp, herbs, and produce. You could also, using those little blue buttons in the corner, offer hero employment or change your NPC employment, i.e. production. It's really cool because now you can actually run up to a physical farm and change how it's going. We're hoping eventually, well, we're definitely going to get eventually little NPCs that represent the amount of people you have working in your farms. So since it's in groups of 25, I figured I'd have 4 little characters,
Mhm.
in each farm, and based on which set, you'd have one of 4 characters working in your farm.
Or we could get representations here for the specific crops that you're growing in the farms.
Oh, that
or
would be wonderful.
producing in any of the buildings.
That's one of the goals for our fundraising, is getting Unity assets like very specific crops to match what you're actually growing, because there are some amazing 3D artists out there that can do better plants than I can. I like buildings. I like buildings a lot.
It's worth noting that between us, we have attended precisely 0 hours of game design school, game art school. We represent basically just the creative will to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Funding would enable us to hire specialists who have put in the time and learned the specific skills that would allow us to do things like improve the terrain, upgrade the skybox. I mean, you've done amazing work in
With
terms
free assets.
of putting all of this together, and I'm certainly impressed. But obviously somebody who's spent 10 years on character modeling, on texturing, on Blender, Maya.
I dream of specialists in our team.
Absolutely.
I've had to be a Unity generalist in order to get so much of this done, but there's so much you can do with specialization with, as Matt said, Maya and Blender specifically being amazing 3D asset creators, but not at all of what Unity could do, but it would really improve our assets. I'm really proud of the latifundia. I actually made those before I found any building assets to help at all. That's made entirely of cubes. The roof is actually cubes set into each other.
You can kind of see the A-frame effect you got there.
But it also gives it a unique shape compared to all the other buildings in the game so far.
Right.
The granary is one of the first buildings I made. I'm really excited about that. That's just a cylinder with a capsule on it. But inside here is actually a bunch of rectangles arranged in a cylinder because I didn't know how to get the inside of it, which you can do with Blender. It's really cool. So in here you've got a web view where you can hypothetically manage your entire settlement from inside. This was put in for the Oculus integration. There's actually a web view inside the desk for the regular PC over here, as well as a nice big map. But since the Oculus is better if you're inside the 3D room rather than in this really nice big desk here, I figured the one on the wall would be better. So here we're sitting inside a desk. I'm really excited about this. This is supposed to simulate what it feels like to sit at a minister's desk and have to handle all their stuff at their desk. So everything sort of gets piled on each other. You see some grain from being in the granary has fallen onto the desk. You've got your hourglass and your candles. Matt is showing how you can actually use an active web view on the desk now, which is one of our very recent updates. I'm very excited about that one.
Mm-hmm. I'm really excited because now people will not necessarily have to have accounts before they download the client.
Yes.
Which really starts to make this feel like an MMO to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as this starts to progress towards being a real MMO, that's the part of it that I'm hoping for, because this has been an extremely low budget project. We have not spent a lot of money on this. We have spent a lot of time. So what this comes down to is it's a representation of labor. And in order to show off some of that, I'm going to show off some of your other districts.
Oh yes, that'd be wonderful. The high street is lovely. It might.
That's right.
Kamal doesn't have a high street. Oh well. As you can see, if you load in a district in which there is not any buildings, it simply gives you a nice clean blank thing. You can still pull up the settlement map so you can get out of it. You're never stuck. Even if you end up falling through the map, you can always pull up the settlement map with M and transport yourself to another district, so you're never completely stuck. Here you can see I've got web views on every building. The town square is arranged in a square shape around the courthouse, courthouse of 0. That is a chapel with a library and a lot of cottages. The cottage, I believe, is the linked building in the town square. Eventually, we hope to also have actions available in the Unity client, such that if you perform an action, it will take you to the district where it originates. What I'm working on right now is a character sheet, a 3D character sheet that will pop up in front of you. I'm working with Margaret, our web developer, on the right JSON calls and whatnot to make all of the character data come through for a 3D Unity hosted character sheet, so we don't have to do everything with web views.
Exactly. It's a matter of hybridizing the existing engine together with Unity's capabilities. What we're really going for is it's actually going to be kind of a 3-layer hybrid when it's done. The Unity client will probably use a standard server matchmaking system, basically just sort of a peer-to-peer setup where you and the other players who are online in the Unity client at a specific time can be running around and interacting with each other. And strangely enough, I'm not sure a lot of that data is going to wind up looping through the web server.
Mm-mm.
The engine server is probably only going to take care of things relating to the strategy part of the game, and we're going to let the smaller Unity-based peer-to-peer server handle things like any sort of real-time interactive emotes, for example, that you might do to somebody walking down the street and you see.
Anything that doesn't have to be saved in the server technically can be handled completely with Unity.
Right. It's a way of stacking the various types of multiplayer interaction. We have massive multiplayer interaction in places like the markets or in Warfare, using the Warfare scenario system.
Right.
The Warfare scenario system might really be interesting once we use it as a Unity matchmaking service.
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh yeah, actually making Warfare in the Unity system is going to be a lot of fun once I actually get into models. As you can see, I've mostly been focusing on building models, but getting player and actor models for the NPCs and for the scenarios, actually one of the things that it occurs to me would be really cool, odd.
You might want to resize that. Yeah.
Is having your retinue, your personal retinue, physically follow you around in the Unity client so you could show off with your friends like how many cool Cavaliers you've got with you and shit.
It'll be interesting to see how we can represent that, with collision detection and things maybe coming in later, as we initially start dealing with people who have like 20 or 30 cavalry or siege engines following them from place to place.
That'll be ridiculous. I'll have to somehow shrink the rendering of that.
Well, as we learn more about the visual technologies involved, the rendering of these various scenes is going to... It's really going to match modern gaming visuals a lot better. Right now, what we've got, it looks about 10 years old because we are sort of...
Because we made it for free out of cubes.
Right, exactly. We're sort of stepping it up. Each incarnation of the game increases the level of immersion. It increases the number of features that are available to players. I would say 9 months ago when we released the original game, it probably had 10% of the available features that it does now.
Oh my goodness,
Pretty
9
much
months
only
ago.
build buildings.
All I had was a couple of buildings, and I had it so you could click on a lot and build them in
Margaret had the unit. Yeah, you didn't even start until
7 months ago. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm talking about the web client. Had only building at first, like this one.
Oh, that's true. That was a long time ago. Gosh, so much has happened.
It's all right.
Like, I've become a game developer since then. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you used to work somewhere else before that. You were a tutor, remember?
I was a tutor once. That's insane. The cottages were actually one of the first buildings I made. You can tell because they have the really primitive roof made out of a cylinder. The courthouse looks really nice because it's got a roof I got from somebody else's 3D model and then retextured. I thank everybody for their free Unity assets.
As the web game has evolved, this game too will evolve. I think we're eventually going to have a lot of the kind of features that people are used to in games. We're going to have fairly normal dueling interactions.
Yes.
I could see really just some fairly standard stuff, normal swordplay, not a lot of... We're not looking to do a lot of innovation in those areas. We feel that we've added in enough extra features in terms of the economics, in terms of the spell casting, and especially in terms of the social features.
Absolutely.
That with a lot of the Unity stuff, we're just going to be providing the kind of things that people are used to. Just some sword fighting, some fairly standard running around.
Declarations of love will be a lot of fun to depict.
Of course, the emotes with the bond system.
For
anybody who ever played, the Guild 2 Renaissance,
yes,
and enjoyed the courting and the marriage system in that, I think you'll really enjoy what we have planned. The game has a lot of, you can't really call it PvP, but player-involved social interaction up to and including marriage.
Oh, absolutely. But you also have to find a priest of high enough level to perform your marriage, so good luck.
Right.
It's entirely player-oriented and very much interactive. Everything about the Unity client is supposed to integrate with all of Margaret's wonderful work in the web client. As you said, the social interactions and the bonds and relationships, the ability to show who you're pledged to, perhaps. One of the assets I'm really hoping to be able to purchase a good version of rather than try to mock up myself, because I know there are good versions out there, is the floating text above the head that can display things like who you're pledged to, what your current title is.
Oh yes. The information that we would want to provide, especially if you're looking at another player in the multiplayer setup.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. The kind of heraldry that could really go on in a game like this with the amount of titles that you can stack up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Dude, I would pay people game gold to walk around shouting my name if it would show up in a room where other people could see it.
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up, but really the upvote, downvote system in the game's forums is pretty much that. It would not be in any way inaccurate to the time period to pay people to upvote your posts. I mean, it's supposed to be like
that is very Renaissance.
An intentionally PvP version of, say, Reddit or Facebook. A lot of the functionality in terms of notifications, relationship status, upvotes, these things have serious gameplay impact, usually relating to your importance.
Mm-hmm.
Or importance is probably what Kamal is going for with all these colonnades.
Yes.
There
are a lot of colonnades. Colonnades, by the way, are a pillar-based storage system. They are actually defined as these spaces where you keep things that happen to look like this. So while it happens to look a little bit silly in this super blocky thing, hopefully if I manage to remake the maps, they'll eventually line up much like the canal should.
Walk around in the Oculus client, and you'll see it can be pretty impressive even with fairly straightforward
That's
blocks.
True. The Oculus was so immersive even with just these pretty primitive graphics.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really hoping that we will be able to make some headway in terms of the Oculus client. My last experience of it was relatively good. The pointer is working.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to understand or to experience if you don't have the headset. The intense difference in the scale provided, but it really has an amazing effect, even with relatively simplistic models here. It gives one almost, for some reason, kind of early Elder Scrolls feel.
Off my Foundry.
And that's not a bad thing, believe me.
I'm really glad. I never got a chance.
Games.
Yeah, I never got a chance to play the really old ones, but I really hope to get the time at some point. I'm really proud of the Foundry. Using the particle system, here we've got a canal. Its spacing is not perfect yet.
That's okay. Yeah, I like your Foundries as well. The setup here, it demonstrates some good basic knowledge of what Unity is capable of, and I think that over the next couple of months, you're really going to be able to bring the knowledge that you've acquired from this project around in order to finish what will amount to, if perhaps a simplistic, then entirely free add-on to the game. And the great thing there is that we're not initially planning on having this level of functionality. Brune was sort of envisioned to be a web game initially,
right?
So that it would be limited in expense, because I would not have thought that you could get the kind of functionality that you've been able to provide without paying a really considerable amount of money in terms of programming, in terms of art assets, and just in terms of the time that it would take.
It's taken a lot of time, but every time I think about it, it's only been about 7 months, so it hasn't really been as much time as it could be, and we're not using, we've got Unity Pro, and we're paying Coherent UI to be excellent with us. We've got amazing service from them, and other than that, these are entirely free or basic assets. I've learned a lot from the forum scripting, but we don't even use Photoshop. We don't buy our stuff. We love open source. We use the GIMP, we use Inkscape.
And all of this will be returning to the open source community from which it has come.
Yes.
We believe really strongly in returning something of value to the community, and so all of these assets are part of the free open source guarantee that ensures that this game will never be abandoned as long as there are players that are interested in it continuing on. If for some reason we should not be able to continue the game, we would automatically open source it. If something terrible should happen to the development team, it will automatically go open source. Otherwise, everything becomes open source 3 years after the date of its public release. So this client, I think we got this uploaded yesterday.
Yeah, so 3 years from yesterday.
So somewhere in late 2017, in October of 2017, we will be seeing all of this becoming completely freely available for commercial reuse. That includes all the scripts, that includes all of the WebView stuff. Obviously, we cannot give away Coherent UI because it does not belong to us.
But I'll give away the scripts I used to make it work.
Exactly. Meaning that anybody who wanted to make improvements to this, or really even just retheme it, that would be totally fine with us. We want to make sure that that other people are able to enjoy this as much as we have, if they're interested in that.
Modders are completely welcome, power gamers, whatever you are. This game is pretty robust.
And we enjoy having people playing the game with us at BruneGame.com. The developers, Margaret, Rebecca, and I are all readily available here on the forums, and we will be happy to talk to you about any element of design that you find interesting, or about the artwork itself. The artwork was created by a diverse collection of individuals over the years, many of whom have volunteered their service, and we are, of course, very thankful for all of the assets that we've gotten. We also hold weekly contests and art assets that are provided by players, and design assets such as suggestions can be rewarded by platinum, which is the game's currency.
I've been delighted to see some of the icons that I did not personally have to make enter the game.
We've had some really amazing contributions from individuals like Tim Rath, who you can see here on the Karma top list for the game.
Yes.
There are 771 characters. The game, you are allowed to have as many alts as you want in the game. We do not actively, we don't ban people for multiplay, we don't ban people for botting. If you wish to use some sort of automation system, if, for example, you're disabled and you need to use some sort of automation system in order to effectively play the game, we have no problem with that. We don't hand out bans. We're not about that.
No.
The game is balanced to prevent any sort of serious problems. We've had bot lords and alt masters and all sorts of people trying to do that before. And
whatever you think will make your settlement work, try it.
we encourage you. We encourage you to try that. We had some real automation experts take a crack at the game, and one by one they've all given up because that's just not the way this game works. Fundamentally, you're always going to be better off if you're playing the game directly, role playing, talking to people, bringing in a few friends, than you possibly can be with any number of bots. And I will stand behind that. So I really do encourage people who are good at automation to come put our system through the works, because we have benefited heavily from that in the past. There are a variety of information sources as well. The game has a built-in catalog that provides a lot of direct information about the units, equipment, other features of the game, terminology, that sort of thing. For a little bit deeper information, you can always access the Brunelleschi wiki here. And finally, if any of this is interesting enough to you that you might be willing to support us financially, or by sharing our work on Facebook or Twitter, we are very appreciative of that. We believe strongly in crowdfunding as a mechanism for determining games' ultimate appeal and potential for success. And we hope that if you think this game and this development team has what it takes to make it big, and to really to get out there and affect the world, and round up some players and really get some people having fun and starting wars and experiencing diplomacy and history and all of that sort of stuff in a first-hand, live, interactive way, then we encourage you to support us. Brunelleschi is educational technology as well as being entertainment technology. We don't see any inherent conflict between those two ideas.
No.
And we hope other people will support us in that idea. Rebecca, do you have anything else you want to say?
I'm really excited about the BruneClient and encourage you to come try it.
Oh yes, of course. How could I forget? If you would like to access the Brunelleschi client directly,
Yes.
it is very alpha, and it takes a certain amount of patience. A little bit of restarting is sometimes necessary to get it running, but it is available for download right here on IndieDB under the Brunelleschi entry, and we encourage you to download it, take a look at it, and let us know what you think.
Please do.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.